Hello, everyone. How's your lunch? Good? Great. Um, my talk is staying positive being a proton. That's the flag of the city of London. Now, I know it's a bit weird. It's like the flag of England, but it has that little sword right there. I don't know if it doesn't seem very original, but it looks fine. So anyway, who's here from London? Okay, I've got a few. Anyway, so my name is Thomas Steinfeld. I need to correct Manoj, I'm a code ninja. There's a little bit of a story behind that. When I joined Applitools, I really wanted to be a software samurai, but they get paid a lot more than code ninjas, so that's where I'm at. Regardless, yeah, I made this talk at 7 a.m. in the morning. I'm gonna improvise it with you, see what makes you laugh, and continue with it. Now, I don't know what I'm gonna say, so I'm very sorry for that guy who has to do the transcripts because. Anyway, so regardless, I don't have slides, so what I've got for you is pictures of puppies. They're very cute in a basket. Anyway, so that's what we're gonna do. Let me just do that. There you go. So that's what we're gonna go through. Hopefully, you will feel that you weren't cheated because I'm replacing somebody and I didn't make as good of a talk. Well, we'll see. So, right. So immediately I forgot Dave. So Dave is Dave Hefner. He's working with me on Selenium IDE. He's my colleague. We're working in the same office. He's a great guy. Anyway, let's start. So Selenium IDE, who's familiar? Okay. So Selenium IDE is a record and playback tool. Basically, you record a test case, then we generate some data behind it, and then we can play it back for you. It looks like, let me just show it here. It's a Chrome extension. Got it open. It's a Chrome extension. You can get it from the Chrome store today. Basically, you've got your tests on the left-hand side, and then you've got the test content on the right-hand side. Let's see an interesting test. There's a login test somewhere. Yeah. So this one, let's just run it quickly. Oh no, my username is invalid. See, that's what you get when you don't prepare a demo in advance. Let's run one that I know that will work. So anyway. We've got the test contents. Basically, we start with an open that goes into a URL, and then we do a bunch of things in the page to test it. Like you've got the locators and all that fun stuff. Recently, we've also added code export. Maybe it will work. So you can pick your language. Let's do JavaScript. That's the only one I know how to check, that I know how to look at. So we've got JavaScript. Kind of looks like, how is it called? Check spec. So you get your WebDriver code, and then you can mix it up, change it to fit your specific needs if the IDE doesn't cover exactly what you need. If you need to do something that the IDE can't, you can export it and add it this way. Now it's kind of like a one-way ticket. So if you do that, you can't really come back to the IDE. So you need to keep your IDE test around. Anyway, wait, let me just, what? It went back. Let's just change the puppy. So Selenium IDE right now is undergoing major changes. due to a few problems that the extension currently has. And we're going to move it to an Electron app. Basically, I've written this amazing post about what are the problems in Selenium IDE at the moment. I'm not sure if you know how Selenium IDE works, so I'll go through that and then go through what we're planning on doing when we move to Electron and how we're going to solve all these issues that people that currently use Selenium IDE are facing. So firstly, in Selenium IDE, if you've been to Simon's talk in the morning, Selenium IDE uses what's called Selenium Core, which is the first version of Selenium that was just a bunch of JavaScript that you put inside your browser, and then you call those functions in order to test your web page. And it's still, to this day, I don't know how long WebDriver has been out, but to this day, we still don't use Selenium WebDriver. And other than list of things that we can check because we're not using Selenium WebDriver, we're also relying on some very old tech, and users can only test within the extension to a certain extent. They can get out of it, but it's not the easiest process. So firstly, we want to move to WebDriver, which is the standard. It's why we're all here, after all. So that's one. The other one is, as you saw when I exported the code, let me just save that too. When I save, it just prompts to download, and then that's something that we get asked a lot. So it just downloads the file because, after all, Selenium IDE is a web app instead of saving it where you want to save it. So we always download it to your downloads folder, which is not the greatest. So we're planning to fix all these shortcomings by moving to Electron, which is going to be a native app. And then we're going to do save on writes and all those nifty stuff. Sorry, I had the curry. OK. So, right, I have this thing open. So moving to Electron is a lot of work. And we have a lot of things to build and a lot of things to check and a lot of things to test. So for a moment, I just want to show you this very cool diagram that I've written about Selenium IDE's architecture. I've got it here. As you can see, Selenium IDE is right there on the, I don't know if you can see it at the end, but it's right there on the top left corner. And then we have Chrome. And they're talking over HTTP. That's the gist of it. So either they talk over HTTP through the WebDriver protocol, which is what we're going to use for playback, or they're going to talk over HTTP for the recording. So the recording is obviously something that we can't omit. And what we're planning on doing is that we have this great recorder already built into Selenium IDE. Playback is WebDriver is designed specifically for playback. So we're gonna ship this Electron app with the recording part of the extension, and then when you load up any browser that you want to record on, we're gonna load in the recorder into your web app, into that browser, so that you can record from it, and then you can play back on it. That's all I have for the Electron app. If you wanted to see more of that, well, maybe I'll show you a little bit more of that. But that's like the biggest demo I've got for you. Right. So regardless, we wanna with this transition, we wanna make sure that one of our biggest shortcomings is the fact that we've got out the tool that's called Selenium SideRunner, which is, I don't know if any of you used it, but basically it takes your current Selenium IDE tests and it runs them through the command line as kind of a way to escape the extension. One of the shortcomings that it has is that it uses Selenium WebDriver, while Selenium IDE uses Selenium Core, and then people get like, they get to the issue that my tests are passing in Selenium IDE, they're not passing in the runner, and vice versa. So once we move to this architecture, that problem completely vanishes. We're going to get the same exact result, consistent test results, which is the most important thing that you want out of a testing tool. Right. So let's go over building stuff, and I'll show you a little bit of the code, and just if any of you is ever interested in helping me out. So firstly, you need, oh no. So firstly, you need Yarn, which is like an alternative package manager for Node than NPM. If I'm talking gibberish about Node, then somebody can raise a hand and I'll explain what. Okay, great, everyone knows Node. So Selenium IDE is obviously written in JavaScript because it's a web app, and as an Electron app, it's gonna stay a web app. So we're gonna keep all the JavaScript. So firstly, you run Yarn to install your dependencies, and then let's just run the build. While this is running, it's much simpler than the build process that we have for the current extension one. So it's really easy. We've had people having trouble building an extension and then helping us out. This is much simpler. We've improved this. Just wait for it to finish. Let's see. So anyway, one of the changes that we've made is that we've moved. We're on the transition of moving our code base to, let's see where here. We're changing the code base from JavaScript to TypeScript. Hopefully, it will help people contribute by, having types. It's kind of like a renaissance for open source project to change now JavaScript for TypeScript. I'm working on that. I personally have a hard time understanding type systems, but I'm willing to do it. So basically, we've got all these packages. Like one of them, Simon was talking about earlier, like get driver, which is this driver manager in JavaScript that you can use today that will download it actually checks what version of the browser you're using. It will parse out the binary and stuff and will get you the version, and it will download the driver that you want. And so that's all we have at the moment. I don't know if it looks a lot. I hope it does. But let's just start same idea. I'll show you how cool it is. I did not expect the before you continue thing, but that's what we've got. So we're really early in the process of building the Electron app. So there's a lot of things to be done, and I think it's easy. I hope it's easy, and I hope that I'm going to be able to help people get into it. Regardless, one of the few cool things that I can show, if I can just agree to this thing, is, forget about the blue and red stuff, that's not really interesting, but this part right here, that's an internal browser that's running inside the Electron app, which is great, because we can just start new WebDriver sessions within the app. So you can just give you, in case that you just want Chrome and you don't want to author your tests on Firefox and then use a different browser window to do that, because obviously Firefox is a different application. Then you can just use this internal Chrome, which will work exactly the same as the Chrome that you have when you run your WebDriver tests. Okay, let's change the puppy again. This one's cute. There's also this one. I like it. It's in the snow. So obviously, I like puppies. I used to have a dog. She was wonderful. Let's move on. Where I'm at. Okay. So, for example, let's say that we actually want to do something in the project. So the first thing that you obviously want to do is to run the tests. Hopefully my tests work. I think they should. So that's the first thing. And then let's say that you do want to contribute something, writing tests now is much easier than it was in the web extension. Since it was a web extension, we mostly don't have tests, and everything pretty much is tested manually, sadly. But since Electron is running on top of Node, we can test it very well in Node and get accurate results to what we're going to have in the Electron app whenever we will ship it. So it's much easier to contribute and for me to review or anyone else because we've got tests, which is an invaluable, well, you're here, you know that. And it tells you how valuable tests are. Okay. Let's change the puppy again. I like it. I like this one. I'm fighting over a stick. Right. Shit, I'm out. Do I do that now? Looking at the nose. Okay. Why am I getting lost so much? Right. So let's just go back to the same idea. I really hope that I will talk more about tests and stuff, but I kind of feel like I don't want to show you code because it's probably going to be boring. So let's do some Selenium IDE stuff. So we've got, right. So let's write some tests. So we've got this one, right? Okay, that's working. So let's say I've got this. I'm putting in this super secret password and this Tom Smith thing. But let's say I want to add them as variables. Then all I have to do is just type the value. I know it's the other way around, but it's kind of like that for legacy control. So I type the value, I give it the name I want. And then I can just do, hopefully this still works. Yeah, I feel good about myself. I still know how to use Selenium IDE. So that's variables. Now let's say I wanna do some more complex stuff with variables. We've got all the control flow stuff. So we've got ifs, we've got else ifs, let's just do while. So in this example, it's fast because we're actually not doing anything in the DOM, we're just evaluating some numbers. But in this example, we just have this running number and we just count it so that you can basically add both arithmetic and control flow to your tests. And this way you could just run your tests with more than just the recording part of Selenium IDE. So the recording gets you just the thing that you've recorded, but this really gives you the ability to add some conditions to your web page. For example, checking if a cookie banner is open and then closing it if necessary. I've got more complex stuff to do. I just run it in the background and I hope it still works. I can see it suddenly. All right. So Selenium IDE, we've added all these great features to make sure that Selenium IDE works for all kinds of users. We've got the test automators, we've got the manual testers, and we've got the software engineers that might need to use Selenium IDE. And we want to accommodate all these different users. So basically, we've got the manual testers who just want to record something and then play it back. And we've got the test automators that maybe want to do a little bit more. They want to record, they want to add logic, they want to export it. And we've got the software engineers, which we see them as kind of like a people who could recreate bug reproducers using Selenium IDE. I'm running out of topics. Sorry. Let's see. So we've got this puppy. He has great eyes. I love him. Now this one, that's my favorite. You know, she doesn't have corgis anymore. I wanted to see them. Yeah. So back to where we were. Yeah, that's better. Selenium IDE, I mean, I personally and probably Dave could really use help building the Electron app because we've got a lot to do. Right now we've got like recording and playback working, and basically we need to build the entire app. And the way we want to do that is by getting help, because it's going to take us months. So part of that, we're going to write it. The same IDE today is written in React, and want to keep it that way. But if anyone want to get involved in building Selenium IDE, we're going to be posting a roadmap of what we want to build, and we're going to post some issues of stuff that people can pick up on, and we could really help you get started with Selenium IDE. We want to make it an easy platform to contribute to because it's a fast-moving project. It has a lot of work to be done, a lot of features to build. And I think that for the people who want to contribute and want to get involved in the project, that's a really good target for it. Let's just show some. I'll have to show you code. I've got nothing else. OK, so let's say you want to add a command to Selenium IDE. Let's just add a quick command. So we're going to have to go to WebDriver.js. So you've got the click, right. So adding a command to Selenium IDE I've tried to make it simple as possible. So let's say we want to add a command. Does anybody have an idea? Let's say click twice, right? What?
Make it
bigger? Oh, sorry. Good? OK. So let's say do click twice. We need the locator. We don't care about the value. So basically, the first argument is always the target that the user gives you. The second one is the value that the user gives you. And the third one is like a extra system information that it passes you for specific commands. We don't need that. So if I want to do click twice, I'm just going to copy this. So this function, it's going to do two things. It's going to take my locator, and it's going to try and find it. And then it's going to do one of the IDE's one of the better IDE features. It's going to take this target fallback object. And that's a list of targets that we have accumulated over you running the test and recording it. And in case that locator that the user specified is not found on the page, we're going to try to look for it in that object. And then if we find it, the user would get informed that we've used a fallback locator, and he can either re-record the test or change the test to be that locator. Then all we need to do is click it, and then click it again. Now, let's write a test for it. So where's the click? Let's just copy this test, and we'll do it here. Right. So all we really have to do is do click twice, what we just created, and let's say I want to give it something that that doesn't exist. And when you give it this target fallback, and we're going to give it, we'll give it the actual one and some nonsense. No, I ran prettier. It's going to take a while. So anyway, the test pass, so that's a great thing. So if I want to contribute, first I run the test that exists, and then I add my own. So I just added this one. Let's just give it a name. Should click twice. Let's just give it Selenium Conf London. And then all I have to do is test t Selenium Conf. Right. Let's see if I wrote it correctly. Oh no. What have I done? It's all failing. You see, always test your demos before you go on stage. Let's just do the normal one. What? Yeah, don't take my advice for it. Test your demos. Okay, we got it. So what we're doing behind the scenes, as on top of all of this, is that we're passing these function names, and we're creating the Selenium IDE commands out of this file. So by adding do click twice, I tested it, which currently the tests that we have for Selenium IDE are all of these tests that we have to load Selenium IDE and test them. So I've added it, I've tested it, and Selenium IDE will automatically parse this file, get all of these commands out, and it will add them to the glossary so that the user can just use them. So that's one of the biggest feature requests that we often get is people needing more commands and to take care of more things. And hopefully, this will address it as much as possible, just making it easier for people to add their own commands and contribute them back to Selenium IDE. Okay. Hopefully, I'll just do that later. Hopefully I didn't bore you. I'm sorry, that's Jack. I don't know who that dog is. I just got this picture and his name is Jack. So I really hope I managed to entertain you. I'm sorry that it's the best that I could do in such a short notice. But we could really use your help. That's Dave's Twitter. You can tweet at him if you want. He's a way nicer guy than me. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Thank you very much.